Well, welcome, Washington State Wrestling Association fans. We are here. My name's Justin Newby. I'm the executive director for USA Wrestling here in Washington State. I think most of you guys probably know who I am through my emails or the lengthy phone calls I received throughout the day. Joining us on our first ever podcast for the state is our new elected state chairman, Tim Weinert. And one of our national team coaches, Greg Ford, who does an immensely wonderful job, or a wonderful job in our state, coaching our athletes. We felt it would be appropriate to bring a high caliber coach like him on this first call to talk about some of these incoming freshmen that a lot of you guys like to complain about because so-and-so may not have been on it. I get the rap every year for it, but that's okay. I think it stirs attention to what our goal is, and that is to grow and elevate wrestling in the state of Washington. But before we go into all that, Tim, welcome to Washington State Wrestling as our state chair.
Thank you, Justin. I'm excited to take an official role. I've been behind the scenes for the last 17, 18 years, and been kind of doing my own thing about trying to raise money and trying to bring kids in and athletes in and host clinics and raise money, and finally decided this year to try to jump on board and help in a more official role. So I'm excited. It was an honor to get elected into this role, and it's going to be fun to support these younger guys like Justin here and Greg and Andy Cook and a whole new younger generation of people coming up through the ranks. So thank you for the welcome. And I think adding things like this podcast and other virtual tools that will bring us closer together will be some goals for us this year. And I'm excited to participate. Thanks, Justin.
Yeah. So Tim, I think a lot of people with Jay Terry stepping down this last year, Jay's done a lot of fabulous things in our state. I think there's a lot of people that, I don't want to say they're skeptical, but I think a lot of people are kind of wondering if there's one thing that you want to tackle, what would that be? Or what's your vision for this year? I mean, I know you've got to get your feet wet, learn how everything's running, and I think you've done a fantastic job over the last month doing that. But there has to be one thing that just you want to tackle.
Well, I sort of just mentioned it. I'd like to use some social media. High on my list is to try to raise more money for the state, some marketing and some sponsorship money, so we could send some kids on the road to do some international tournaments. I'd like to do some cultural exchanges and look into what we can bring to our organization to run like a 2017 business would. So bring in a little bit of my knowledge. I've run my own company for 32 years. I'm in, my company's in multiple states, and we have a lot of staff that we work with all the time. And so I've had a good opportunity to build systems and build teams. And I want to see what we can do to help bring that to State Washington Wrestling.
I love it. Well, Tim, I think I can speak for a lot of people on the board and throughout the state after I've talked that we're excited to have you on board and to officially take this new role. I guess, Greg, I think a lot of people here in Washington probably know who you are, or at least know your name. Now they can put a face to it. Greg, go ahead and introduce yourself a little bit and, brag about yourself a little bit, but not too much.
I don't know about, but I've been in Washington all my life, minus the years that I played baseball in college. But no, I'm still fairly new to. But I'm working my way up the ranks, certifications, and just as far as dual teams and whatnot, and doing it. Meeting all these up and coming studs and getting a chance to just be hands on with them, and to me, it's great.
How many years have you been coaching on the national team?
I'm going on year 3. but it's in my blood. My dad was the head wrestling coach at Central Washington University when I was born. So I've always been around high-level coaches. I could always pick their brain and, ask them certain things. And, the recent big tournaments I've gone to, and then, working my way up to my gold certification, I've been around the Matt Lillens, the Bill Zaddicks, and all those guys, and brain and take a little bit from all my different experiences and incorporate it to my own coaching. So it's
awesome. Well, so those of you guys that are watching, obviously most of you are Washington State Wrestling members, or have been, or have family members that are. I want to touch on one thing, and then we're going to go right into our top 10 incoming freshmen and talk about some of these up-and-coming studs that are coming up into the high school rankings. But first of all is USA Wrestling this year did create a new membership site. Previously on the old membership site, we had what we call profiles. Profiles had all our data, the history of when we purchased our membership cards and what rankings we were and certifications. However, we were illegally collecting some of that data because by law, we can't collect data under the age of 14, I believe. However, anybody could go create a profile. So USA Wrestling actually had to create a new system that now is mandatory to actually create an account, just like you would at a bank. You would go in and create your account. You would put your age, your name, and then once that account is created, you can go in and claim your kids, your spouse's profile, their old profile that they had on the old membership site. So the membership site is still usawmembership.com, or you can go to the mat.com membership and hit log into membership. But if anybody has any questions, my number's on our website. Go ahead and give me a call. I can help you walk through that. But anyway, now we're going to go into the segue I think most people want to talk about or hear us talk about as to why we picked some of these athletes for our top 10. And this wasn't something that Justin Newby does on a Sunday afternoon with a cold beer in his hand or something. We send it out. Our coaching staff looks at it, reviews it. They critique it. They adjust it. They make recommendations and suggestions on kids that I may not even know who they are. But then I do compile them. Last year in 2016 and 17, we put out 10 of our top incoming freshmen, 9 of which were all placed fourth or higher. Actually, 9 out of 10 placed fourth or higher at our Washington State WIAA high school state tournament. Isaiah Gonzalez was our number 1 pick, and he was a state champion on his way to be a 4-timer, in my opinion. He's probably one of the best wrestlers in our state behind, the top 3 studs. We all know who they are, BK, Alex Cruz, and Mason Phillips. But Isaiah Gonzalez as a sophomore he's right there in the rankings. I mean, Jake Rogers, we all know who those guys are. But this year, it was a little bit more difficult. The talent pool is getting better. Our kids are performing at high-level national tournaments. I mean, we went this year to the NCAAs with a group of kids that Greg Ford was actually one of our coaches on that team. Got second place there. They all got to go to the NC National Championship. I think, Tim, you were there as well, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Kids did really well. And and people didn't expect them to. The talk around was kind of surprised. So I think that made it even more fun for the boys to perform well when they weren't expected to.
Yeah. And
but Illinois got us. Boy, I tell you, if there was one thing I could put on my wish list, it'd be go beat Illinois sometime in the next few years somewhere.
Illinois is tough, man, when they got 12,000 members and we got less than half that. But, yeah, we can do it, I think. I mean, we're not far away. I mean, when you look at our schoolboy team this year, they got second in Greco and third in freestyle, if I recall right, at schoolboy. Yeah, Tim, you were back there for that.
And they beat Illinois in the Greco.
Yep.
But when they came back for freestyle, they had a bunch of different kids. They have such depth there that they can match up on you and bring different kids in. So, I would love to see us have that kind of depth.
Well, hopefully if we get cadet duels in Washington, we can get some depth on our cadet team, and that doesn't have to travel 23 hours to get to the dual team, not 4. But anyway, I'm partial towards Washington, obviously. Not to make excuses, because I think Illinois is fantastic. They do a fantastic job running their state. I know their state chair. He's a great guy, and they're dominant. But anyway, I'm not here. We're not here to talk about Illinois. So, Greg, you saw the list. You helped compile some of these athletes. What are your thoughts on them?
Love the list. Think need to grow, but are they going to have a big impact right away? But I would like to give my personal opinion on just a few of the names that are on the list based off of watching them, working with them, etc. Because I haven't seen the list. Like most of the coaches, I value their opinion. Feel like if all the coaches say they should be on the list, then they should be on the list. So I'd like to go over off the list and them, but I would like to cover their strengths, weaknesses, and how I think it'll transform into their high school season and how they'll do.
Oh, we're here. Which 5 are you going to talk about?
All right. Well, I'd like to start off with Mr. Weinert's son, Matthew.
Matthew, we're going to have a debate. We're having a debate.
Let's get it right now. So, Matthew, I mean, the kid seems like he grows 2 inches every time I see him. 6'3", 6'4" now.
He's 6'4",
long, but he's filling out. Yeah, so the mass is starting to come with. The cool thing about Matthew is not only is he long, he's learning how to use his length. There's nothing more that frustrated me when I was in high school wrestling a kid that was really long that knew how to use his length. The kid's hungry, he works hard, he's coachable, and he's always looking for a challenge. So, I mean, you more as a coach that you would want as an incoming to take on that role to be good right away.
All right, man. Well, thank you. It makes me uncomfortable to have you talk about my boy or even have him on the list. I didn't participate on making the list, and like I said, I feel so biased towards my own kid. He's working hard. He's improving. I hope he has a good year. Thank you.
No problem.
And I'll say, Matthew Weiner, I've watched him over the last year. I met you, Tim, almost a year ago. Met your family months and months ago. Had the opportunity, I think the first time I showed up at your house, Matthew was doing some one-on-one sessions with a D2 wrestler out of South Dakota.
Yeah,
Carlos, yep. Yeah. So that was, I met him obviously when he went to the schoolboy duels in St. Louis back in March. I think that was actually the first time I met him. He's getting ready to go there. But I've seen firsthand the dedication. I would say out of all these kids that are coming in the last 6 months, I would put Matthew as probably a 1 or 2 as far as the workhorse ability. And that's why I think a lot of us have recognized that as coaches. And I think that's why it was actually unanimous. It wasn't nobody questioned Matthew Weiner in the top 10. Because I think we all know, like I said, as coaches, how hard that kid works at national team camps, at his house, in the wrestling room. So I expect to see great things from Matthew Weiner. The tough thing with Matthew is he's coming into high school at an upper weight, and he's going to be meeting some man-childs that probably going to have a little bit more man strength. So, it's just like Braxton Mikesell from last year. He came in at 195 at Central Valley as a freshman. Yeah, he has a couple world records on squat, deadlifting, and I think bench press too, as a 14-year-old. But what's that, Greg?
I said bench also.
Yeah. So he has, I think, 1 or 2 national records. I think he has 2 national records and 1 world record. But even then, as a freshman, doing battle with a senior at 195 that's cutting from 205, 210. Um, yeah, it was brutal for him. Yeah, I know he battled growing pains all year in his ribs, and just because he was growing so fast. Not to make excuses why he didn't make the podium. He was the one out of the 10 that didn't. But at 195 and 4A, it's a whole nother beast. So, but I think Matthew, hands down, is going to shock a lot of people in Washington. So, Greg.
All right, let's keep going. So next I want to talk about is Kai Haney, Blake Haney, who was I want to say I know he was in an absolute with Brandon Kaler in the finals and pushed him to the limit. If you're one of the Haneys, they're going to be in good shape and they're going to push you. I know he's a Mount Spokane kid, so you probably have seen him a little bit more than I have. Blake. So if I'm a fan of Blake, I got to be a fan of Kai because I know he's going to come in and try to step in his brother's footsteps and exceed already. What do you think, Justin?
I had the opportunity to coach Kai on the schoolboy team 2 years ago. The kid has amazing. He's fluent. He's very fluent, just like his brother. He comes from a great family. His mother is very supportive. He works hard. He's going to Mount Spokane. He's had fantastic coaches like Bundy. I believe he's part of the Big Cats at times there with Coach McLean out of Meade. I don't know the coaches at Mount Spokane. If I heard the name, it just slipped my mind. So, but I know they've done a great job with. I can't remember the kid's name. He was on our Fargo team last year. I think he was on a dual team too. And he has a brother. He has a little brother too. But I mean, there's been some hammers coming out of that program for the last couple of years. So I think Kai will come in and do a fantastic job for Mount Spokane as well. Yep. But he didn't really do much on the national scene this year. He didn't really participate much, which, that may hurt him a little bit.
It could. You never know. But I can't give you the exact reason why they didn't come. The last I talked to Blake, he said he was going to do the national scene, and it didn't happen. But I'm still excited to see those guys, see what they can do.
Yep.
All right, let's keep moving. Next one I want to talk about is Mark Morrow. Big things coming in small packages. He surprised me. Being a smaller guy, it's tough. The kid just steps up to the challenge all the time. Both hips locked. They're going for a ride. Only thing I would question with Mark is just getting him a little bit bigger because he is a little bit undersized. At 106, that's one of those weight classes that a freshman can come in and win it. And I would say maybe heavyweight are the two spots that you can come in as a young guy and find a lot of success.
Yeah,
Mark, I love watching the kid wrestle. He's got unbelievable heart. Sometimes he gets a little frustrated, which I think that will change with his maturation levels. Of watching the kid wrestle.
I agree with you. The problem we're going to run into with his pick is the other kid on our top 10 trying case. Both these kids are weighing in the 80s, maybe 90 pounds. So they're going to have to get on some heavy-duty protein just to hit 106 and compete. But the problem is Trying Case and Mark Marm are both going to the same high school.
They're at the same high school.
I agree. So that's the thing. So let's tackle Trying at the same time then. So
I don't know what Mark and Mark and their dad both named Mark. I don't know what Mark was thinking. No, just kidding.
Well, those kids have pushed each other for years.
Or Thomas.
And helped make each other as good as they are. And I just want to quickly say, Mr. Mark he's about to hit that growth spurt. It's going to happen, man. I've been a fan of his for the last 6 or 7 years, watching him at practice every night. And that boy goes home and he studies wrestling. He loves wrestling. He deserves to be on that list. And I think he's going to, once he gets the weight, he is going to blow people away. Boy, and having to hit one of those guys in the lineup and then the next one for other teams, oh my goodness, it's gonna be rough.
Yeah, I think they're going to be both of them. I mean, Tryon's a stellar athlete, a very good technician. Mark can toss you on your back in a heartbeat if you close your eyes, or blink. I think those two are going to be a battle. But yeah, we'll see.
A little got your and trying with his exceptional leg attacks, and he's in and out with high crotches and sweeps. He transitions well. Best out of 3.
What was that last thing, Greg?
Best out of 3 right now. Who's your pick?
For Tryon and Mark? Oh,
Putting
man,
you guys on the spot right now.
You know what? I love Thomas Marham. I love Mark Case. I talk to both of them regularly. I would never put a penny on one of those kids over the other because they're that type of kid. I'm not going to – I won't make a prediction.
Well, I think Tryon's weighing more right now anyway. I think Tryon's actually growing a little faster, but it's both those kids are going to hit big growth spurts, and I could easily see Tryon going up over 106. Just it's just when the growth spurt's going to come.
That's going to be the test. We'll see.
Well, either way, you still two guys full season. Hopefully.
Who else do we got, Greg?
Oh. So Ethan Davis, my first time getting eyes on boy duels. Ethan Davis. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're breaking up a little bit. What about Ethan Davis?
My first time getting eyes on Ethan Davis was at schoolboy duels in
St. Louis
tournaments in St. Yep. And just the first time, he's slick. He works angles. He has nice hard attacks right away. This kid's primed to be varsity and to be a contender for a state title right away. And I love the way he moves and works for his attack.
Yeah, I agree with you. Ethan has great movement, great attacks, great angles. The other thing that Ethan has going for him too, I know Medical Lake historically has not been a dominant wrestling program. In fact, they're actually in our league, so we see them every year multiple times. But Ethan Davis has some great workout partners coming up as well, that if Ethan can rise to the challenge, that are all freshmen, and be a leader on that team, you're going to see 3 or 4 kids that are freshmen out of Medical Lake coming up in the ranks in the next 2-3 years. Alex Brown, Alex Gonzalez, I believe is the name, and that Juan, I'll butcher his name, Federodo or something like that. Both of those kids, I think he was on our schoolboy team this year, but both of those kids are all going to Medical Lake, all freshmen, train together and work their butts off. So I think Ethan Davis has a bright future. He's going to have some tough kids at 132 with the Trent Bonds and the Granger kids coming up, Isidore or whoever's at 132 from Granger. Hell, we all know they got a stacked team this year too. So, but I think Ethan will squeak onto the podium. 5'6" range. But he's Strand Seaman from Colville, another powerhouse at 132. That's going to be a sophomore. So he's going to have his hands full. But I think Ethan, if anybody could do it, is a guy. So
he is a tough kid. That is one tough kid with a very high wrestler IQ. and people better watch out. He's a tough kid.
Yep. Greg, who else do we got here?
So last one on the list, I want to cover Lily. Holy smokes!
Oh, you got to save the best for last. You got to save the best for last.
The duel. Oh, here's the last one I wanted to cover. So if you got some more you want to cover, go ahead.
We'll talk about Yusuf later. Yusuf is a one-of-a-kind kid. Well, I mean, you're going to Curtis. You're coaching at Curtis. You're not going to talk about your boy Steele?
Oh, Steele's going to Tahoma High School.
Oh, that's right. Oh, I'm sorry. My bad. Returning state champs. What did you guys get last year? I can't remember. Second? Third? Second. Mead got third. You going to bed, babe? All right, buddy.
Second, yeah. Wait, Tahoma High School, they're the guys to beat right now. But I that Curtis is going to give them a good push and a run for their money, and it's going to take everybody doing their part at the state meet this year to determine the champ.
Well, I'm a fan of Chris Feist. Chris is my guy. I like him. He does one. He's like a Brent Barnes. He just makes it happen. You got your hands full at Curtis, Greg. I know you're pretty confident going in there, but I'm telling you right now, this kid's running for a state title this year. I believe that. He's going to be a freshman. He's tough as nails. I don't know if that's why his mom named him Steele, but that kid is tough. He has an older brother that's probably made him tough. But still, he's technically sound. I don't see a lot of upperclassmen competing with him, at 126, 120, 132, wherever he ends up. So I see Steele being a leader on that team for the next 4 years. So, but anyway, I'll go into, my next little guy that I like to talk about is this Maxima Zamara. I think most people probably know who he is. Wrestles out of Moses Lake. He's been around for years, but the name Zamara has been around for decades. And but Maximus, he's tough to handle. He's relentless. He attacks. He's aggressive. And I think out the gate he can place top 4. 106. But he's tough because at 106. He's 4A. I think Mount Si's 4A. You got Mark Marham. You got Tryon Case. You got Maximus Zamara. You got Chase Randall from Mead, who's got 4th place last year for them. And he was one of my dark horse picks on the top 10 list. He got 4th as well. And he's my pick to win the state title this year at 106 for 4A. But if he can make 106, who knows? Maybe Chase Teppets will be back at 106, and Chase Randall will be at 113.
Yeah, we don't.
What's that, Greg?
Be there because we also have Isaiah Jakobin. He's going to go yet if he'll be at 6 or 13, but he's going to be in the money.
Well, we all know that. Let me back up the bus. That would be my pick if he's at 106 to win a state title. But for the sake of my picks or our picks, he needs to go 113 because we need these guys on the podium so we have a good track record. Okay.
Well, hold on a sec. Max is tall. Max was tall and real thin when we were looking at him a couple months ago. Max is there's a good chance he goes up the weight bracket.
13.
Or more. I mean, he's got he's got a frame that could carry more, and he's a tall kid.
And his
dad, yeah, Dwayne is what, 6'2" or 3 or something. So
Towers me.
I don't think he might not even ever touch down at 6. Might not even at 13. Who knows? But and I think he would do well moving up because he's an excellent wrestler, and it just all depends on how he's working out and if he goes in there with confidence, that kid could beat anyone. Yeah.
No, I agree with you. He probably has. He may have a hard time making 106, but time will tell. So, Greg, is there anyone else you want to talk about real quick, or do you want me to kind of touch on these last couple ones? I think we only have 3 more. Well, 2 more before we get to your boy. So, what?
2. That's on your side.
Yeah. Well, Connor Larson, You know, he's going to actually he's going to Central Valley. I think originally I said University or Liberty High School. I can't remember. I think I'm pretty sure he's going to Central Valley. Connor, you know, he's solid. The kid's a solid wrestler. The tough thing that Connor's going to do is he's going to come in and be wrestling kids like a Cameron Crawford. And, you know, while I think Connor technically, you know, for a 170-pounder deserves to be on this list, he's going to have his hands full this coming season. But, you know, I believe, like I said, I'm pretty sure he's at Central Valley. Sean Williams is his coach. Sean Williams is Olympian. He knows this game of wrestling. He's a fantastic, intelligent, smart coach. And so if he can develop and Connor and his style work well together, Connor will hit the podium this year. There's not a doubt in my mind. So
Connor's dad is saying that I think I saw something on the internet. They're saying he's going to go 160. So
160.
He might have leveled out in his growth. He grew a lot, but I'll say one thing. If he levels up like he has each year in between, again, he's going to be a handful because he was wrestling at a high school level 2 years ago. So, yeah, Connor's tough. I've been watching. He's wrestled in the same group with Matthew and on the schoolboy teams this year and all, and he's working hard. I think he really deserves to be on that list too.
Yep. Yeah. Then our number 10 pick is kind of I don't want to call him a no-name kid because the kid's a fantastic kid. His name's Caden Kraus from Jenkins High School, Chewelah, over on this side of the town. The kid went to Fargo for the first time this year, got a couple wins over there. He's never wrestled freestyle Greco, had a little bit of training. I ran into him at about 2 years ago. He fell in love with the sport. He's a fantastic basketball player. He's a fantastic football player, and he was a pretty good wrestler. Then he goes down to Bigfoot. He's wrestled some tough kids like Lorenzo Gonzalez and a few other kids here. He wrestled a kid from Oregon, nationally ranked as a schoolboy kid, a big, tough kid. I can't remember his name right off the top of my head. Sam Brown, I think, or his last name's Brown, and beat him. Caden was on our cadet dual team. And I think, you know, the tough thing with him is he's not going to have very many workout partners in the wrestling room in high school. But coming in at 170 for 1A, I don't think there's a ton of competition at that level. I think Caden can find himself on the podium as a freshman, which, you know, would be a fantastic thing for him. So that pretty much wraps up our top 10, except for our number 1 pick. This was a number 1 pick that was unanimous across the board, across everybody that we talked to. I don't think anybody's going to argue with anybody in the state of Washington about Yusuf Lilly being Washington's number 1 pick as an incoming freshman. He's going to Bonnie Lake. And Greg, I know you have a personal relationship with Yusuf and Greg, as do I, and I'm sure, Tim, you do too. But why don't you go ahead and talk a little bit about Yusuf and his accolades, what he's accomplished over the last couple, years, and obviously, we all have big expectations for him.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, you talk about a fan favorite. I mean, before I met the kid, I was watching YouTube videos of him beating the best kids in the nation. You know, it's just unbelievable how mature he is as far as his wrestling abilities and his knowledge of wrestling. You know, he comes to duels, doesn't lose a match in duels, destroys all of the top kids in the nation. And it's like, gosh, how can you follow up that performance? Fargo, I don't even really want to wrestle Greco. You don't even want to do it.
And he's a first-year cadet.
First-year cadet. You come out there and you win Greco, and then you wrestle freestyle. And, he dropped a close match that I felt like if they would have wrestled again, and then, we lost another close one for third and fourth. And, immediately after the match, on the side of the mat, some positions that we struggled in, and we felt like, if we got there again, we would win there. So, I mean, talk about the kid being coachable instead of sulking and crying in a corner right after his match, trying to figure out what he can do to get himself to the next step. And, just that kind of attitude just shows me this kid's going to come in as a freshman and he's going to win right away.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, and he has the backing. You know, he's going to Bonnie Lake. He's wrestling with Brendan Chiawana people and Brandon Kaler every day. I think that was a smart move. I know he was looking at, you know, his dad was in a transition phase of relocating. And I know he was looking at maybe moving to White River to wrestle under Coach Kitchen, who's, in my opinion, one of the best coaches in the state. No offense, Greg. But you know, he chose Bonnie Lake. I think that was a smart decision to do just for the workout partners for the next 2 years of his high school career. I expect to see him on world teams in the next couple of years for sure. So anyway, I think that, Tim, do you have any comments about anything?
Yusuf is a machine. I've been watching him for years. The kid he's going to wipe it up, man. It's going to be fun to watch. He has so much poise and confidence. You can just see it before he walks out there, man. You know, it's going to be a ton of fun to watch all these kids, but Yusuf, he's going to put on a show out there. So, yeah, I think, I think right down the line, you know, it's hard, like Justin said, it's hard on a list like that because you're going to sit there and second guess yourself and think of other kids, and you wish you could put, you know, so many names on there. There's going to be kids out of nowhere that come and do well this year, and some of the kids on the list might not do so well, but I think overall you guys did a good job on it.
Thank you. Well, we appreciate you guys participating on our first podcast for Washington State Wrestling. We're going to try to do these on a regular basis. We may not talk as long as we did today, but we had a lot of information to cover, talk about these athletes and get some information out to you guys about them. You know, next time we'll try to keep them 20, 25 minutes. And then if you guys obviously have any questions you guys want answered or anything you'd like us to discuss about, or anybody you think would be a great guest speaker to come on and to share thoughts about this next upcoming season, please feel free to shoot us an email, comment on our YouTube page. Please subscribe to our YouTube page so we can get some likes and things going there. But anyway, Greg, thank you so much for being in attendance with us tonight. Tim, it's always a pleasure having you. Welcome to Washington State Wrestling. And I know you've been here for 17, 18, 20 years, 30 years. But welcome to having
100 years.
How many? 100? Yeah.
100.
Yeah, well.
I want to say happy birthday to Greg Ford. It's his birthday today. Woo-woo!
That's right.
Happy birthday.
Oh.
I would sing, but my wife and kids are going to bed, so that's probably not going to happen tonight. But anyway, again, thank you guys. We'll get this up, and then we'll be looking forward to hearing some feedback. Y'all have a great night.
Thanks, Greg.